this Ukraine update. In today's video, we will be talking about the front lines. Also, we will be talking about the most important news that has happened since the invasion of Ukraine, and that is no joke. So stick around to the end and you'll find out what important news we are talking about. First off, Russia did do artillery strikes around these areas in the Ukrainian positions in Kherson. Now, nothing really over there. Yesterday, it was reported that Ukrainians did try to land on Crimea, and today, this is video footage as you're seeing right now of Ukrainian spec ops capturing Russian rigs that they said were used for military purposes somewhere in the Black Sea. So that's quite a also. Anyway, going to the front lines in Robotyne, we see that according to this map, at least, Ukraine has pushed further into Russian lines, and now the Russian main line of defense around this area is now currently in the gray zone, still under Russian control. Gray zone just means it's currently contested. Again, Russian drone strikes around here, so this confirms that Ukraine still does hold those former Russian trenches right outside of Robotyne. Russia actually did manage to take back this area that was formerly in the gray zone, so that is, I guess, good for Russia as Ukraine now advances even further to Verbove. Ukraine is being annihilated on this road by Russian drones, and this is because Ukraine has not secured this road with artillery or anything like that, so Ukraine is suffering a good amount of losses on this road, trying to travel from this road, and even if they survive going down this road to like reinforce this area and stuff like that, they a ton still get destroyed over here trying to go to Verbove. So that's basically what's going on in Robotyne. Now moving on to Regina area, Novodonetsk, again, there are clashes reportedly that took place here a couple days ago. However, Russia has repelled all those according to sources, and we have no images or video confirmation to say otherwise. However, Ukraine still holds positions in Novomanyolsk with Russian drone attacks and artillery shells firing on the Ukrainian positions here, and that's pretty obvious that Ukraine is obviously there, hence the Russian drone attacks and artillery attacks in that sector of the area. Again, fighting reported here as Ukraine tries to make advances. U.S. General Mark Milley said that Ukraine has around 30 to 45 days to continue this counteroffensive before the weather becomes too bad that they literally cannot. So yeah, they're trying to push for as much as they can before that happens, and it is a good news for the Ukrainian infantrymen because with the weather, how it's going to be with the raining and stuff like that, artillery is not as precise, and drones can only operate for a short amount of time in that kind of weather. Now moving on to this village over here, this settlement, Ukraine is closing in on this settlement right here, with Russian military bloggers reporting a full Russian withdrawal from the area. However, according to the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense themselves, there's still fighting going on in the area. However, Ukraine does have a foothold on here, and this leads them very close to this airport in Donetsk that they lost in 2015. It leads them very close to capturing it. It was a very significant place back in 2014, and Ukraine finally had to withdraw. I believe it was like Ukraine's last hold in the city of Donetsk against the separatists and stuff like that. So moving on to Andriivka, again, Russian military bloggers did report that the Russian forces have withdrew completely from Andriivka. However, we have no video or photo confirmation of the Russians retreating or the Ukrainians in Andriivka, so we are not going to say the Russians have left, and we are going to say fighting is continuing in Andriivka. Also in Klishivka, again, no video or photo confirmations of literally anything. Russia still holds on to the northern sector. According to Ryber, a Russian military blogger, the Russians have around 400 meters of Klishivka still under their control, and according to some Ukrainian military bloggers, they have like 1.5 streets left in Klishivka. So that's basically the news surrounding Klishivka. Nothing going on in the Kupiansk front, no advancements except for Ukrainian video posted by the Ukrainians of them shelling these Russian positions over here, which could mean that the Russians have entered Sinklivka and the Ukrainians were shelling from behind the cities, or Russia has like complete control over it. As you guys may know from, if you guys watch previous videos, Russia did capture this settlement over 5 times, but with Ukrainian counterattacks, the Ukrainians recaptured it. However, the Russians recaptured it, and it's like a seesaw going on right here, because there's no defensive position. So any army trying to hold this place it's not going to be the best. So I believe Russia will obviously capture this. Just a matter, in my opinion, of when, not if. So moving on to the most important news that has nothing to do with the front lines as of yet, there is talk of Ukraine considering to declare war on Russia. Now, if you guys don't know this, neither sides have declared war on each other. Russia launched a special military operation. Ukraine literally has launched nothing against Russia. Ukraine has not launched a special military operation to rid them from their territories or anything. They're just fighting. So Ukraine has literally launched nothing against Russia, has not declared anything against Russia, war, like conflict, nothing, like at all. So it is talk, according to some people, that it's on like the top issues that the Ukrainian government is discussing, declaring war on the Russian Federation. And what does this mean? I mean, tanks are getting blown up, thousands of men have been killed. This is basically a war. However, declaring war on Russia would allow Ukraine to, and this is going to sound crazy, invade Russia. And the reason being is because they have a costly spell. They were attacked by the Russians, and now, according to the UN, which they have not done yet, they can declare war on Russia because they were attacked. It was an unprovoked attack. Whether you're on the side of the West started it, Russia started it, many people, even pro-Russians, do not say Ukraine started it. They say the West did. So Ukraine was attacked unprovoked, and now, according to the UN at least, they could declare war on Russia. And this would allow the Ukrainians to, first off, do a full mobilization of Ukraine with the excuse we're currently in a war, invade Russia or invade Transnistria, which houses Russian troops, and Russian troops are there. However, I think it would be extremely stupid for Ukraine to actually try to pull off an invasion of Russia. And you may ask, why would Ukraine try to do this? Ukraine will probably try to do this because, according to some reports, now this is from the UK Ministry of Defense, so take this with a grain of salt, 90% of Russian forces are currently in Ukraine. So it would seem, especially with the Wagner coup, how they just completely did a thunder run and were like less than 300 miles away from Moscow within a day. It would probably seem, for at least the Ukrainians, that if they could take a significant land of Russia, then they would force Russia to go to the negotiation tables. Hey, we'll give you this land back for all lands back. And that could actually work. The problem is you're dealing with a nuclear-armed state, and a state that has over 6,000 nuclear weapons. And there has never been a history that a nuclear-armed state has been invaded. Never. Okay, Russia has been invaded. America has even been invaded. However, there were no nukes at the time. So, invading Russia, in my opinion, would be the most stupidest thing Ukraine could ever do. In my personal opinion, Transnistria, I just don't think they're really after Transnistria, because that's in Moldova. I don't really think there's any gains for them in Transnistria, especially with the low amount of Russian forces there. However, I think if Zelensky or any of his officers, military generals or anything, the new defense minister, has any amount of brains in their heads, they're not going to invade Russia. That is just simply stupid in my opinion. However, a war could also, them declaring war could also mean full mobilization, and them try to use like 3 million men to push Russians out of their occupied lands. So that's basically it for today's update, guys. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Again, YouTube, I do not condone any violence of any kind. I'm simply reporting what's going on in this war.